Hello and welcome back to the course Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension for CAT. You can follow me on this URL or you can feel free to comment your doubts in the comment section. Let's get started with the lesson 3 on odd one out or sentence exclusion. You can pause the video, you can try your own solution. Let's see if the sequence that we find out and the odd one out sentence that we find match or not. Okay, so question 1. So, pundits in publications have been calling for the use of truth serum for interrogation of suspected terrorists. Okay. These drugs, which drugs? Truth serums. These drugs, commonly used in larger doses as anesthetics, okay, could be some other drugs, are thought to work by enhancing the brain's sensitivity to a depressant neurotransmitter known as GABA that is naturally present there. Doctor, a specialist, says that drugs have been used in questioning to disorient prisoners and to instill fear, but he does not know of any drugs that can force the truth to come out. Okay? Few problems today are thornier than trying to prevent terrorist acts. This looks like a good opening sentence, introduces the entire problem, and we're talking about preventing terrorist acts through the use of truth serums and all. Sodium pentothal, the trade name for thiopental, is best known class of barbiturates popularly supposed to act as truth serums. Okay, so the sequence could be starting from sentence D, moving on to A, that to prevent terrorist acts, pundits in publications have been calling for the use of truth serum. Then you can move on to talking about the specifics of truth serums. Sodium pentothal, the trade name. Then you would clearly end with B. What is sentence C doing? So this looks like a fairly easy one to me because the sequence is very clear. The sequence is D, then logically we move on to A, then we introduce the here we introduce the truth serums. Here we talk about some of the specifics of truth serums, that okay, this is the one that is the best known truth serum, and then these drugs, commonly used in larger doses, are thought to work as enhancing the brain's sensitivity to a depressant that is naturally present there. So this talks about the functioning. Now sentence C, what is it doing? It is he does not know of any drugs that can force the truth to come out. This is adding some speculation, some sort of doubt, and there is no reason for us to sort of doubt. This should come at a later part, at a later stage, when something else, some speculation, some sort of an apprehension regarding truth serum has come out. This does not go hand in hand with the central theme. Even though it does talk about truth serums, it does not go hand in hand with the central theme of the paragraph, which is simply to introduce the need for truth serum and talk about them. That's it. So I think sentence C is the one that is the odd one out. Yes, that is the one. Moving on. Okay. Steel production in Britain has more than halved since its peak in around 1970 to some 12 million tons a year. Okay. On March 29th, Tata Steel, Britain's biggest producer, said it planned to sell or shut down its British operations, prompting growing pleas for a government bailout. Okay. Britain has been a center of steel making since Henry Bessemer developed a method to mass produce metal cheaply in the 1850s. Looks like an opener. But the days when Britain's furnaces turned out over 40% of the world's steel, exporting it to every continent, are long gone. Okay. British mills, close to rich seams of coal and deposits of iron ore, cornered the globe market within 2 decades. Okay, so this sentence is talking about some growth. And sentence 4 is talking about a sharp decline. Sentence 3 is clearly the opening sentence. Sentence 2 is telling about some recent development in the decline, and sentence 1 talks about decline in halved since its peak. Okay, this also talks about a decline. So let's try to form a sequence, because without a sequence it's going to be, this particular question is going to be hard to solve, because I still don't have a clue which sentence is odd one out. All of them seem fine to me. Probably two. It's too recent. Maybe. I don't know. Britain has been a center of steel making since Henry developed a method to mass produce since 1980s. British mills, close to rich seams of coal and about iron ore, cornered the global market within 2 decades. Okay, so within 2 decades of 1850s, uh, British mills did this. So we're talking about growth. And then we can immediately, this but gives me an idea that we can immediately talk about the decline. But the days when Britain's furnaces turned out over 40% of the world's steel, exporting it to every continent, are long gone. Steel production in Britain has more than halved since its peak around 1970 to some 12 million tons a year. Could be one, could be two. One of these two. Because the remaining three sentences make a good paragraph. On March 29th, Tata Steel, Britain's biggest producer, said it planned to sell a shutter, prompting growing pleas for a government bailout. Shouldn't it end with this? Because this is actually really recent. So you're talking about what has happened. But the days when British furnaces turned out over 40% of the world's steel, exporting it to every continent, are long gone. And then you talk about what has happened recently, because that is why you would actually write it. Remember what I said initially, that just think why you would actually write a paragraph. You would write such a thing to tell about a recent development and not about overall steel production going down. This paragraph would have been written simply to convey this part, to show the contrast that okay, British the steel production was so high and then it declined, and now it has come down to this, that the biggest producer is planning a shutdown. So that is why the paragraph would be written in the first place. I am still skeptical between 1 and 2, but I would go ahead and mark 1 as the odd one out, because there is no reason for us to talk about the overall steel production halving since 1970. There is no connection. There is no reason for us to have a discussion on what it has been since 1970. We're not ending at 1970. We're ending way before that. And if we're ending so far behind, we should be talking about something very recent. So probably this is the odd one out. Yes, that is the one. So again, this was a doubtful situation. On any other given day, I could have marked option 2. Right now, I've marked option 1. But again, that is how verbal ability is. You are doubtful in most of the cases, and you need to understand why the paragraph was written, what the author was trying to convey, why would he even go to the extent of writing that paragraph whenever he would have written it. And that strategy has mostly worked for me, and that is how I personally approach a problem. So let's hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much.